All praise, glory, and honor is most certainly due to the Most High Elohim of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I want to say peace to each and every one of you. In the name of His Son, Yehoshua HaMashiach, who we know as Jesus the Christ. So it's a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to bring a message contained in His Word, and never do I count it a light thing to do so. In today's message, I want to deal with something that is very basic, but quite frankly, needs to be understood. And that is church order. I know it needs to be understood because there is, quite frankly, so much disorder within this church. And we don't serve a God or an Elohim of confusion. Okay? I want to pick it up at 1 Corinthians, the 14th chapter. 1 Corinthians chapter 14. And I want to pick it up in the last verse of this chapter. And something you hear, this is a verse you hear quite often, but how often is it followed? It says in 1 Corinthians 40, let all things be done decently and in order. And that's what needs to happen. And the only way that could happen is if people understand order in the church. They understand who's in the position of leadership, and things come from the top on down. We know that the top, obviously, you got the Father, you got the Son. You have those who are in certain positions to lead the flock. And everybody needs to be following. And the men that are in a position to feed the flock obviously should be leading the people to Christ. That is what should be taking place. And things need to be done decently and in order. And certain people simply have authority. And he gave certain people gifts in order so that basically things will be done in a proper way. And everybody is not doing the same thing. For example, the Bible even tells you in one place that, be not many masters. There are a lot of people that want to be teachers or pastors, but they're not in a position to do that necessarily. Everybody's not a pastor. It's like a secular song when everybody want to be the chief, right? You need some Indians around here. In other words, you have to have somebody that's in a position of authority, but then you got those who follow. But also you have various positions. This is Ephesians 4 and verse 11. It says, and he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers. Notice everybody's not doing the same thing. You read in another place, he has deacons, which are helpers. That's what a deacon is. What are they to do? Making sure things are done so that the word can go forth. And that may not be a position it's a position that is necessary, but it may not be in a position where a person is standing in front of the people teaching. But that's a person that's making sure that the one can stand there and have the things that are necessary, and that there's order within the congregation, and there's work to be done. But he said, and he gave some apostles. Now an apostle is somebody who had a message directly from the Lord, like the 12 apostles, right? Or Paul the apostle. It said, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers. And then he tells you why he gave them. He said, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ. So the bottom line is to make sure that the people are edified. He says this, he says in verse 13, till we all come in the unity of the faith. Because it's one Lord, one faith, one baptism. It's one body. He said, and of the knowledge of the Son of God unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. Then he goes on to say that we henceforth be no more children. That's children in understanding. Tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. Okay? So, people need to be mindful of that. Last place, Exodus the 18th chapter. And there's always been this, where you have certain people doing certain things. You have certain offices in the church. Well, look at, in the church, where did it begin? We read in Acts 7, it began in the wilderness. Well, what happened in the wilderness? Let's go read that. This is Exodus 18. Exodus 18. And we'll pick it up at verse 13. Exodus 18 and verse 13. It says, "And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moses from the morning unto the evening. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning unto even? And Moses said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come unto me to inquire of God. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another. And I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, The thing that thou doest is not good. Thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that is with thee, for this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone." When you think about Christ, even, there was Christ, then he had 12 apostles, then he had 70 that he chose. See, there's work that has to be done, and you can't do it alone. He talks about the laborers in the vineyard. They are few. This is verse 19. "Hearken now." So Jethro, his father-in-law, gives him some good advice. He said, "Hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, that thou mayest bring the causes unto God. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens." So within the congregation, within the nation, you had those men who would rule, but they had to be taught. "And let them judge the people." You even had some cases where men, the Lord, he's poured his spirit in the days of Moses, just like you saw with Christ. He had 70, the Lord poured his spirit on those 70. But he said, "And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee." So you see, you had, because the point, what? Ultimately is that the people would walk righteously and do what they should do, according to Torah. The same thing, in similar fashion, the same thing is in this new age, in this time where you have those in the church. They do different things, but it's all about perfection, striving for perfection, and doing away with falsehood so that we walk in righteousness and in truth. And with that, and so that's a little bit about church order. Okay? And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you that we're at the Household of Faith. We meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We live stream right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as at on our website. We also have our Virginia congregation that meets every Sabbath at 5925. Sorry, not 5925, but 153 Garrisonville Road in Stafford, Virginia, at the Red Roof Inn at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, that's the Red Roof Inn at Stafford, Virginia. The address is 153 Garrisonville Road. That's every Sabbath, which is Saturday, at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that, so it's my prayer that you were edified.